Hi, my name is Anna Avalov, and my Capstone project was on VPNalyzer, which is a current research initiative involving researching VPN vulnerabilities on a large scale. Um, so yeah, here's my presentation. First, we can get into a little bit of what a VPN is. So basically what a VPN does is, when you're on your computer and you connect to the internet, your internet service provider can see like the sites you visit and get like information about like you through that. So what a VPN does is it kind of like encrypts this traffic. So your ISP slash internet service provider doesn't have access to this information. And so people can use this for a variety of different things, like maybe pretending you're in another country so you can use their Netflix and get access to more shows. Or also for like subverting government censorship. So if you're living in a spot where you might not have access to like a certain website because of like government controls or something like that, then you could use a VPN to bypass those restrictions, or just like things like that. So the VPNalyzer research project, it is again like an ongoing research project that I ended up joining this semester. So it has three main tracks. There's the user studies portion, which was kind of a bunch of like surveys that they sent out to people to get like a better understanding of VPN users and how they make choices about like which VPNs to use and that type of thing. The VPNalyzer tool itself, which is like a desktop tool that people will be able to download, and then they can use that to test their VPNs, and then the data from those tests gets sent to the research group, which is a track that I'm going to be focusing on here in this presentation. And then there's also a component regarding like the surveying of VPN providers. So that's kind of like just like going to like the actual like VPN like companies themselves, that sort of thing. So about how I got involved in this project, it was kind of interesting because I initially had planned on doing a capstone just on like a more like a self-directed project that I had pursued last year. So I cold emailed a bunch of professors and eventually I got a response from Professor Roya and Safi. So I met with her and kind of like talked about what I had like kind of already thought about doing, and she introduced me to this project and it seems really interesting. So that's kind of how I got involved with it. And it was also sort of my first time like joining a research project that way, that was like kind of like already ongoing, that like different people had been working on at different times. So that was kind of like a steep learning curve at points, like understanding like not only the app's code itself and like figuring out like how it worked and like where everything was, but also kind of just like working like with other people in a more of like a lab group type setting was also kind of a really good learning experience. As to some of the guiding questions about the projects, these are just kind of things that I thought about like at the beginning and also throughout, but I sort of like wrote them down at the beginning just to try and like get a sense, because like again it was kind of like an unfamiliar like problem space for me. So yeah, so how secure are commercial VPNs? Where do they fail? How can we enforce accountability of VPN providers? In what ways can we best empower consumers to find the most trustworthy VPNs? And tentatively, how can we analyze / utilize the data from the VPNalyzer tool to answer these questions? So initially, the tool was planned to release a little bit earlier. So that timeline has gotten pushed back, but I'm sticking with the project through the summer. More on that later. So I can briefly go over a few like VPN fault points. So these are just like some of the things that some examples of the things that the app looks for. So one of these is a kill switch. So if you're using a VPN to browse the internet, and then all of a sudden, like the VPN like encryption, or we call it tunnel failure, it fails. You would ideally want to know that, so you would stop using your VPN, or ideally, your VPN would just turn off. And it turns out that a lot of VPNs actually don't have this feature implemented, or if they do, it's like default turned off. So users could like not like just like be browsing the internet unaware that their connection has been broken, which in some cases can be extremely dangerous. Again, like if you're kind of like an activist like using it like in a country with extreme censorship, definitely you want to be using a VPN that's secure in that way. Another example is a DNS leak during tunnel failure, which is just that for VPNs that do have the kill switch implemented, it's still a very vulnerable time. So data can often be leaked like then also. So that's just like another example of a test that the app runs. So here's just what the app looks like when you actually download it. It's not available for public release yet, so we're hoping early this summer, but you'll just get a screen that kind of looks like this. And assuming you're not running a VPN, it'll give you your actual IP address and like internet service provider and location. If you were running if you had a VPN running on your computer when you opened up the app, so then all the information would be, wherever the VPN server was. And then you can just hit run test and it'll guide you through a series of steps to run the test. It's pretty simple, just involves like turning the VPN on and off at specific points and kind of just like allowing the app to some like network permissions on your computer. And the test takes about 10 minutes to run, and then it'll give you a screen that kind of looks like this, where on the left you can see just some like basic like download, upload information just about the speeds, like speed comparisons for the VPN and the ISP, and then just kind of like a general overview. There's a comprehensive results link that'll link you to the like a hosted website page on the VPNalyzer website that goes over your results in detail. It's very similar to this like high level results that you see here. So yeah, it's like there's like a few extra pieces of information, and also some are just like some of the tests are discussed in a little bit more detail. So yeah, here's just like an example of a detailed results page. And also on the website, there's the opportunity to look at like an explanations page, just like generally for the tests that kind of like breaks down sort of the information that you're getting. So this is just kind of an example of, so on the top is like a result snippet. It's something that you would see in your like detailed results page opening the app. And then if you went over to the explanation page, you would see kind of this breakdown of this test. So yeah, the specifics here, like kind of complicated, but like essentially we just like want people to be able to get a little bit better understanding of the results. Again, so the tool is mostly for like right now, we're really just trying to like get a lot of data. So it's not necessarily like a consumer facing like, run this to see if your VPN is secure. Like it is, but right now we're focused mostly on like data collection, so we can kind of like compare across regions. So as to what I actually did on the project, by the time I joined it, it was kind of in like the beta-ish phase. So we're moving from the beta to like getting ready for public release. So I did kind of like housekeeping things in that regard. For example, so the tool was built for 3 different operating systems, Mac, Windows, and Linux. And I kind of focused mostly on like the Windows version. There were some, this is just like the npcap library. It's just like something that we had to add into the Windows version to allow for some of the functionality that we needed the app to have, kind of in a general sense. And Mac already had this built in. And another thing was getting the code signing certificate set up. So whenever you are trying to like make like an official app for like the like Apple App Store or the Windows App Store, you kind of need to get a code signing certificate, which like tells people that your app is legitimate basically, and that it's not like hasn't been like corrupted by like a malicious third party or anything like that. Because if you don't have that and someone tries to run the app, you'll get this error message. This is just an example of like the Mac error message, but the Windows one is very similar. So I did some researching of different kinds of code signing certificates. They basically like vary in like price and then also kind of like security. So there was like kind of like a lot of like research in that, and I had a little bit of like I had already heard of what a code signing certificate was, but I hadn't kind of like looked at them from like a buyer / like developer's perspective. So that was also interesting. Just like a lot of reading, financial comparisons. So yeah. And then once the app is actually ready for public release, so again, hopefully sometime early this summer, we're going to kind of proceed through this like data collection pipeline. So again, like that's kind of like the main focus right now is just like getting that data. A lot of it too is going to be focusing on like getting it from like different countries. Like it's a really international audience. Yeah, comparing local VPNs from different regions and then like analyzing security, privacy features and common like leaks and misconfigurations. So yeah, we just want to build like really diverse testing community so we can kind of be able to make those comparisons. And that's probably going to be happening during the summer. So if you're interested in VPNalyzer tool or like potentially like downloading it, running tests circa hopefully about a month from now, you can scan this QR code or follow this link and to join the mailing list and be informed that the tool is available for public release. Thanks.